This is the It's Time to Refresh podcast with Brad Riffresh, the podcast about life, music, traveling, shit, literal shit that is, and weird and wacky stories with Brad and a range of guests from the planet Earth. Feel free to share the pod with your pals, your mom, your neighbor's dog, or even your shrink. It's all fun. You can follow our Facebook group called It's Time to Refresh Community, or It's Time to Refresh on Instagram. Write into the pod, ask questions, and share your stories. Enjoy the pod.
Hey kid, what time is it?
It's time to refresh.
Back once again with another podcast. This is episode 43 of the It's Time to Refresh podcast. We've got a very familiar face here. We've got Shaun Lever. Is it Lever?
Yeah, Lever. Yeah, it's not a face I want to see.
I've always addressed you as that, and I've never ever. I say, I was just playing this Shaun Lever tune. I didn't even know it was Lever or whatever.
It's Lever. It's technically Lever, actually.
Yeah.
But like I said, I just grew up with the name Lever. So actually, it's a Jewish name. It comes from the tribe of Levi. And it's actually technically Lever. But you know, I just stick with Lever.
So we're back again. So as we've went over the last few episodes, we've added a couple of new features and stuff like that. So I just want to ask you how you're doing, mate.
I'll tell you what, right. I've had a weird time. I've had a tough time actually the last few years. Yeah. Lockdown wasn't great to me. It wasn't kind to me at all. Yeah. And it took me a long time to sort of like get
going
my head
again.
Together.
Yeah.
But now it's all sort of coming back, and I'm in a really good place.
You can see it, mate. You can like as I said, meet up with you today. You've got that spring in your step, and that, like if you don't mind me saying. But yeah, great to see you. Great to sit down and have a chat with you. Here's a little known fact as well about the podcast. Shaun was the very first guest on the podcast.
On the original audio ones?
On the original audio ones, yeah.
I remember doing that, and like I was talking for hours, you couldn't shut me up.
No, well the thing is, right, I've come down today, and I always do these podcasts in person, because when we trialled it with you, we had a really good episode, but there's like a delay when you do it over Skype, and you don't get the same chemistry as you do in person. Yeah. So that's why we do them live. So as I start every episode from now on, it's only a new feature as of a couple episodes ago. What did you have for tea last night?
Oh God, I had 2 teas.
Icebreaker.
I actually had 2 teas.
Go on.
Right, I had a cone of chips. Right, basically, I live in a little village called Rishworth.
Yeah. In
West Yorkshire, and I moved back there, a year ago.
Yeah.
So I went to the Blue Clam and I had a cone of chips.
Excellent.
A cone of chips with scraps, by the way. You come to Yorkshire, you come to Ripondon, you go to the Blue Clam, cone of chips with scraps. You do that.
How much is a cone of chips nowadays?
It's, well, actually, funnily enough, £1.40 for a cone of chips, but the woman behind the counter didn't even give me my change. I think she was in a mood, but either way, you know what I mean, £1.40 for a cone of chips with scraps.
You know what's interesting? Last time I bought a cone of chips, I must have been about, I don't know. I obviously get big portions now.
Well,
a cone of chips isn't enough. But last time I got a cone of chips, it was 80p.
Bloody hell!
So it was what, 2000 and.
I know chips have inflated massively in price now, haven't they? Yeah. Like compared, like seriously, I mean, vinyl's gone up in price. Actually, so everything's gone up in price, hasn't it? Freddos, literally, you know what I mean? They'll own you at one point. Freddos tend to go up at the rate of inflation faster than what we're earning. So eventually, Freddo will own you.
Yeah, eventually. Right. I've worked out the price of inflation. Have you seen that post?
I nicked that from a guy called Frankie McNamara, by the way, who was a fantastic guy from Dublin. Yeah. Whose book is absolutely amazing, and he's just the funniest guy I've ever met. And I nicked that line from Frankie McNamara, by the way, and check him on YouTube. He's a genius.
But the thing is, right? I remember I live in Cumbria. Do you know Keswick at all?
No, but I don't blame you for living in Cumbria. So I don't resent you for living in Cumbria. No, actually, Cumbria, I love Cumbria, and I mean, one of it. You know, it's mad you mentioned Cumbria, because the first person that got behind Boy Raver was somebody from Cumbria, from Ulverston.
Right, go on, what's her name?
She's called Nicola Fowler. Right. She's a hairdresser. and she was the first person to buy my album and continually supports me right the way through. And do you know what? In this podcast, it's just nice to plug her, and like, she's a fantastic hairdresser.
First plug of the day.
First plug of the day. Like, ding. This is where you have the thing, don't you, on the podcast? Ding. Plug, ding. Look, Nicola is amazing. And funnily enough, I'm training as a hairdresser at the moment anyway. But we'll get to that probably.
Absolutely. So yeah, I was just going to say, in Keswick, I remember when there's a place called I'm probably advertising here, but there's a place called the Old Keswick Inn. It was known as like quite an expensive spot. I remember when everyone was fuming that they put the prices up to £1.20 for a thing of chips.
I remember when I used to be able to go to, I mean, I grew up in Oldham, mate. I used to be able to go to the Brook Tavern in Oldham with a fiver, and I could get 4 pints of Foster's.
That's impressive. That's impressive. I've never been out. No, sorry, pound of pint in Wetherspoons. That's about as good as I'll get.
Yeah, but you know.
Yeah, it's impressive, isn't it? So yeah, I just want to go right back to the beginning with you, with all your stuff. Who's Shaun?
Who's Shaun? Wow, that's a mad question.
It is. Because it can go in any direction from here.
Oh God, that is probably that's a curveball.
Yeah, it is. That's why, because
that's more than a starter for 10.
Just this is what there before you start. A little thing from an outsider's perspective. If you don't know the podcast, I like to ask that because just so you know, it's not an interview where I'm going A to B to C questions. So, for instance, I could say that and you could give me any answer, and our podcast is just going to go, and you could go, oh, I'm a DJ, and then we'll go from there. But just you as a person, you could tell the story.
Mate, Shaun, Shaun, I'm everybody's mate. I've not got a bad bone in my body. I've made mistakes like everybody else. I've done lovely things, I've done bad things, I've done, you know...
You're human.
I'm only human. Shaun... I'm trying not to talk in the third person here.
Yeah.
You see DJ biographies.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to. I don't like even talking in I. Shaun. Look, I'm just a nice person.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for what I've got in life. I'm very grateful for what I've been gifted from other people, and been so lucky to have had the people around me.
Yeah.
People like Simon Ritchie and Lee Monteverdi, Nick Hussey, people like my school teachers that really helped me, and my mother, my parents, you know what I mean, just amazing people that taught me how to behave, how to be yourself. I'm just me. Yeah. You know what I mean?
All these people have shaped Shaun.
That's a mad question to ask.
It is. But is all these people that you've just named there, have they shaped you as a human?
Yeah, and especially, Simon Ritchie, especially, who was... Simon's now a senior producer for BBC 6 Music and Radio 2.
All right.
And he was the first person when I got work experience at Galaxy 102.
Yeah.
That got right behind me and just gave me everything, and like another guy called Dan Hartley was right behind me, and like there was a presenter there called Mike Anthony as well, like I said, that did it. And the thing is, for me, like I said, people give, I suppose the irony, you get what you give, and that'll come back later in this interview.
Excellent. I like that.
Right, but it'll all come back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just, I'm somebody that believes in house music.
Yeah.
I'm somebody that absolutely believes in music, believes in house music, believes in people.
Yeah.
Believes in entertaining people, believes that, when I DJ, you work your fucking arse off all week.
Mm-hmm. I
just want to give that back.
Yeah.
I don't care what people think of me either. And if people want to think, oh, he's a lunatic, he's a nutter, or whatever, which I get all the time. He's a cunt. You know what I mean? I don't care.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? As long as I'm entertaining people and giving everything back, that's me.
Absolutely. So I just want to get into this then. So you've described yourself as a person. So how have we ended up here today?
Well, basically, you in what respects are you
So what I'm saying is, like, yeah, I asked you who Shaun was, and obviously it's quite a long-winded question. It could lead to many different things, but you've ended up here today doing this podcast. You've got a lot of accolades within your life, and it's all began somewhere. So where out of all the names that you dropped there, just out of curiosity, who was the first person out of these to show you music?
Myself.
Really? So
Yeah. Actually, no. I'll take it back to how it kind of started.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to do, I wanted to play football.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a professional. I wanted to play for Oldham Athletic.
Yeah.
I wanted to play for Tottenham. That was my idea. That was my goal in life.
Tottenham?
Tottenham's my favourite club that I don't follow.
What's the reason?
Because they were honestly, when I got into football. Oldham was my club. I wanted to play for Oldham, but my vision was to play for Tottenham because we had Clive Allen, you had Paul Walsh up front, and then you had Glenn Hoddle, and you had Tottenham, and I wanted to be part of the Tottenham team. I wanted to play
Top flight football.
Basically, that was my thing. And then I just realised I was shit.
Are you good?
That's the problem.
I was going to say you're a good footballer. No.
I'm shit at football.
Right.
And when I did actually get a chance to sort of like get somewhere in football, I was just a proper dirty centre back, and kept getting sent off quite a lot. And I just thought, do you know what? You're not cut out for this.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it. And one day, like I said, I'm having my bath, and like my mum puts on the top 40, and like, you know, it's kind of like an incentive. I put the radio on if you have your bath after school, and after playing football. And it's the top 40. She puts on the top 40, and Bruno Brooks is the presenter, who's somebody I cite as a big hero as well.
Yep.
And basically, right, and it's like in at number 32, I think it is, Royal House, Can You Party? And like amongst all this genre of like mediocre pop music, this house tune comes on, and it's Royal House, Can You Party, which is a record by Todd Terry.
Yeah.
And it's like ding 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 ding, too black, too strong. Check this out. And I'm like, fucking shit, that's me. And
what year is this then?
That's 89.
Right.
I think I know it's 88. I think that's 88. Back end of 88, I reckon. It's got to be around there.
So you're sitting there getting the groove on in the bath, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, what is the cogs ticking in your brain, or?
I'm just thinking, fuck football, this is me.
Yeah.
And then I start seeing all these news reports about like Acid House being this devilish cult, and like raging this war against Acid House, saying like it's corrupting all our kids.
We don't talk about that paper on this podcast.
Sorry, neither do I. And like Justice for the 96 as well. Yeah. And it's just like, actually, can we bleep that out?
Yeah, that word has just been there. You won't know what we've just said.
Can we bleep that out?
That word that I've just said. Yeah. That is just being bleeped out, so yeah.
Fuck you. Fuck you, D.
Anyway, we don't support that on here. So.
Likewise. And basically, like I said, they're trying to rate. And do you know what? When you're that age, I think it probably would have been about 11.
Yeah.
At that age, like, if anarchy comes to you, you're going to fucking take anarchy, aren't you?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's where I started to love house music, and I broke away from everything that I'd done. I just thought, fucking yeah.
So
like, this is me. It
came to get Top of the Pops, and then what have you done from there? Like, have you went to the underground straight away? Or?
But no. What happened is my dad bought me a Tascam little Porter 5 little recording studio and a drum machine.
Right.
And it was like a drum machine. I think you could get it from Argos. In fact, I'll tell you where he got it. He got it from Boots. Believe it or not, you used to be able to buy drum machines in Boots.
Right.
This little fucking thing. And I started making like little bits of music, and I had this little keyboard. I started building it up, and then I get work experience at Square One Recording Studios in Bury. Right. Start working with I can't legally tell you the first track I started working on, because that's a long story. But I started working on the Christians tracks. And then
you can tell me off pod.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued.
And then it's well, put it this way. Like I said, I won't tell you the record, but I'll tell you the story behind it.
Go on.
Right, and you might be able to work it out from me doing this. Yeah. Basically, right, I'm there, work experience, and there's a band in there, and they're fucked. I mean, they are absolutely up there.
That could be anybody.
Yeah,
I know.
They're a dance act recording there,
right? Go on.
And they start playing in that riff. And I start playing in that riff.
Yeah.
Because they can't actually do anything, and they're waiting for the singer to turn up, and I end up laying down like the opening riff myself. And next thing I know, it's a massive hit.
Oh, and that's painful.
Well, no, because how many people have been made happy from that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I suppose.
Bradley, right, to be honest with you, I mean, one thing I say to you, mate, there is no money in dance music.
Oh, no, not at all.
There is
Absolutely.
and to be honest with you, I'd rather have the satisfaction of somebody, like, being involved in something there. I've lost more money than I've actually made in dance music.
Believable.
And to be honest with you, anybody else that is proud of has made money and is proud of making money in dance music, you've not lived.
Yeah.
Hence, you know,
I find that every penny I make in this industry it just ends up getting thrown back in. It's like we're all sharing money and it just goes back around in circles.
But it's kind of like, you know what I mean? It's a passion, isn't it? And no matter what you do, you know what I mean? Like tonight, I'm gonna, you know, I might end up. I'll start work at 6 o'clock here tonight. I might start off my set here at Northern Monkey at 6 o'clock, and there might be a group of women that are in their sort of like late 50s, and I might start with Dolly Parton 95. And do you know what? I'd rather do that and make somebody happy than play, you know, Orbital Chime. Which, by the way, I actually play Orbital Chime in every single set upstairs as well at Northern Monkey.
Great tune, by the way.
You know what I mean? Which is a brilliant residency that I've got now, which is sort of 70s, 80s, 90s. Second plug, ding, ding.
It's all right. I'll be honest them for the royalties.
Ding. So, anyway.
No. Yeah, so you've discovered your music, and we've sort of went off a little tangent there, but it's fine. Yeah. Where's your exposure to music? Like, at what point is it that you're like, I need to get to these places that they're talking about in the paper, that they're talking about on the TV, and experience it firsthand?
Stu Allen.
Stu Allen, right? Right.
I'll tell you what happens. Like I said, Stu Allen. Stu Allen obviously passed away recently. And Stu Allen was my hero and my friend. Yeah. And I miss Stu Allen. I genuinely always will. Yeah. It's with Stu. It's like I used to listen to the dance chart, and it was the Picardy Beat dance chart, right? And it'd be kind of like my go-to start on Saturday night, and he'd do it on Q103, which was.
Everywhere around here for about a 50-mile radius.
Yeah, people used to go on like Oldham Edge and stuff like that. But they used to extend aerials to actually pick the bloody show up.
That's the thing. But anybody of these last few generations will say Stu Allen is one of the biggest inspirations in the northern scene.
Stu Allen is the biggest inspiration.
Yeah.
There is nobody. There would be no dance music without Stu Allen.
I wouldn't have heard a lot of music without Stu, because obviously music gets passed down through time and stuff. But for the likes of, say, is it SL2, sort of a lot of the happy hardcore stuff was only because Stu played it, and then people have been like, I would have been like, Stu Allen, I'll play it, and then it's just filtered down, and he's got. It's gone out, and he's been an inspiration to a lot of people within. Because for me, if you look back in time, right, this is just my opinion. You look at Stu. Stu's a normal guy who you think, I could do what he's doing. Like I could. I maybe couldn't do it as good, but I'm just a normal northern guy from X in the north, and he's just bringing joy to people by playing tunes. It's inspiring. It's inspiring. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think people realise how hard Stu Allen actually fought to get that music on Key 103.
Yeah.
At a time where literally that newspaper.
Yeah, was shutting down.
You know what I mean? That little rap newspaper. Sorry. Newspaper? Did I really call that a newspaper?
Yeah.
That little rat rag was just trying to like capitalise, and they were capitalising, and you know, and
negativity sells. That's all you say.
Yeah.
If you've got something bad to say about someone or something, it sells.
It's exactly. And Stu Allen fought so hard for doing that, and he brought music to us that we would never ever. Have seen in the Northwest.
Yeah.
Like in the north, full stop.
Do you know what's funny though? I've interviewed people in the past, and they've been from not the north, so different places, and I've always dropped Stu's name as Stu Allen. It's the man when it comes to who your influence was growing up. They were getting tapes of the recordings just because they weren't in the area. People were recording it, and it was going out everywhere. So it goes to show that it does spread far and wide as well. That's another thing that
no, it does. And to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if in time, you know, as time goes on, I think we're going to document a lot more about Stu Allen's life. And like I said, at the moment as well, like I said, Alison is carrying on the brand and everything, and she's doing such a fantastic job. I'm so glad she's doing it. I'm so proud of her. She's going through hell at the moment. I mean, she you know, you could, you know, all my best, all my love to Alison, and the same with Paul Draycott, and the same with Gary Hypnotic and Pete Daly, everybody that's involved in OSN and that kind of thing. And Stu's legacy needs to be documented, and it needs to be out there. I
think it's fantastic what has been done sort of recently. I think
I played on the.
I know. I've seen the photos, mate. It was a a very emotional moment, I imagine, but. Emotional event. All of them people coming out to support Stu, like everyone on that lineup there is probably one of the biggest Northern lineups you'll ever see. Arguably, right? And they've all came because he influenced them. It's fucking amazing. Like,
and he did. I used to. I mean, if you listen to Music Matters by Faithless, and again, Maxi Jazz. Actually, ironically, Maxi Jazz passed away around the same time. If you listen to Music Matters, you listen to Maxi Jazz's rap. And I always listen to the Axwell mix because I think it's a beautiful piece of house music. If you listen to what he says, like about listening to radio, it's about him listening to radio and that, and until my 9-volt battery goes, and that was what it was like listening to Stu Allen when you were growing up. You know, literally, you were just glued, like what's coming next. And shit, oh, it's awesome, Free Don't Go, shit, it's, you know what I mean, and then, oh, Family Foundation, Express Yourself, it's, you know, mad records.
It's the excitement of it as well, isn't it?
And it was like, what's coming next, Stu?
Excellent, mate, that's fantastic. Just while we're on the subject then, how was the memorial event?
It was emotional, but it was actually brilliant in another way because one person was there with me, and it's the person that I do stuff with now. It's a guy called Andy Rawson, aka DJ Lippy, who I run Northern Rave scene with alongside Hannah and Ben and you know, others involved in that as well. But he was there, and I wanted him to see what Bowlers was like. And for me, I just looked at it, I thought, this is the last time we'll ever. That I kind of felt this goes with Stu.
Like it's a closing chapter.
It's closing a chapter, but we're starting a new one. And I wanted, you know, I mean, it was very sentimental. I was playing with Mike Absolute, and Mike's. I'm not really going to go into the thing with Mike, but I'm so glad to have played with Mike as well, back to back. And Mike, I've got so much time for as well. Mike Absolute. So
fantastic.
It was. I mean, in all honesty, on the night I lost my temper with a couple of people, and I don't really lose my temper.
You come across as quite a chill guy.
I am, and I just, you know, a couple of. No, I did lose it.
It's emotional night as well. At the end of the day, do you know what I mean? of course, it's understandable. But you're always come across as a take it in your stride guy. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I'm as chill as it goes, but I mean, like, you know, if there's something that just, if there's something that really winds me up,
yeah,
I will. My temper will come out, and literally, I'll bang people to rights in seconds.
Yeah,
and I will hammer the fuck out of somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not physically, I mean mentally. You know what I mean? I'll argue like you wouldn't believe. But I mean, in all fairness, with that, it was just one of those nights where I was in no control of.
Yeah, that's fine, mate. Understandable. So we'll sort of like move on to your story a bit more. When was the first rave?
My first, I didn't really go to raves.
No. What was your first experience of well, I won't say rave. Say loud music in a club where you've just been like, you see what you understand, because it wasn't until I stepped foot in a club and heard the music, like, I understand it now. Yeah,
I mean, I came from starting in youth clubs where I went to, and like I even got to a point. I remember playing at a fucking squash club once, in between a Meatloaf tribute act, and getting pelted with fucking bottles by this biker gang in between, like the interval, like and like all that, and like, in all honesty, the first time it ever really kind of made sense to me like that. I'm not somebody. I'm a working DJ.
Yeah.
And literally, I probably worked every single night I could possibly work.
I've noticed with you, you're a DJ's DJ as well. Like, you are. Like, I know people who go out there to listen to what you do and what you're about. Me being one of them as well. It's like I say to you, I've said to you when we've talked previously that you seem to have a good understanding of what people want to hear. It's like the thing when you said make people happy. It's like you've got the art of DJing to a T.
It's. I was like, thank you for that, but I mean, I don't know how to take that. Actually, it's a funny one. But
I know a lot of people don't like taking compliments, but I think anybody who knows you, who's watching this, will be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I'm not lying. Where's the lie? Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Well, but I'll tell you what. Thinking back, I remember going to. I was at college.
Yeah.
I started college at Oldham College. On the same course where they made Entrance Set You Free, by the way.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. Oldham College, literally the year before, they've made Set You Free in that college.
1991.
Basically, yeah. No, we're going a bit further on, actually. In fact, to be honest, it's 3 years further on when I started there.
Yeah.
But they were going off that. And I remember there was a night at... it was called Club 57, and it was the old club in Oldham, and it used to be the Hurricane Club, which was owned by the snooker player Alex Hurricane Higgins.
Right.
And my mate at college, a guy called Chris Marples, who was on the flyer as Chris Chapman, was involved in this night. I think the lineup was Rob Thurston, who is one of my mates and a very
good
DJ
DJ.
I absolutely admire. So Rob Thurston,
good old school
and
DJs,
you had Chris was on there, and you had Yummy and Broad. So Andy Calder and Brody and Yummy. I've never got to meet Yummy, but he was kind of like this older legend from years ago. But Andy C and Brody, I've kind of met those since.
Yeah.
And I remember going in there and thinking, fuck, this is like, why the fuck, like, I want to get there. It took me a long time to actually get there.
Yeah.
Incidentally, I desperately need a piss.
Right, we'll be back in 2 minutes.
Are we allowed to wipe? I'm assuming you don't follow me into the toilets with this.
Yeah, this is one of them. It's a POV camera.
Hey, you're in good hands. You're in good hands.
You all right? How we doing? Just want to take 2 minutes of your time before we start this week's podcast to tell you about our Patreon. Patreon is a tool that we're using to help the podcast grow, give you better content, and, well, as I said, just let the podcast grow. So we've got 3 tiers. The first tier, there's only 20 of these spaces available, and it's £1 for life, and that's for It's Time to Refresh Originals. So if you've tuned in from day one and you want to join the cause, you can sign up for £1. Just follow the link in the description.
We've got the standard Patreon, which you get access to bonus episodes, some exclusive content, Patreon specials, which we'll be recording, and early access to all future episodes. So you'll be getting them on a Tuesday instead of a Friday, which I think is fucking amazing for £3. That's less than a coffee. And then we've got our legend status VIP Patreons, which is £10. And that gets you tickets to all my gigs, and it will get you free entry to any It's Time to Refresh associated events, gigs in the future. So that's a little hint of what's coming up in the future. If you do like the podcast, then please share it with your mates. We are trying to grow this little thing we've got going. We've got some amazing guests coming up in the future as well, and we want this to go bigger and better. So sign up at Patreon at patreon.com/It's Time to Refresh. Thank you. Enjoy the episode.
Anyway, where were we? Talking about the time I had the threesome with Bonnie Langford and Anthea Turner.
That could go out as an advertisement, that. Right. Back for part 2 of the podcast. Shaun needed to go to the toilet. We did video him, but I mean, it doesn't go on YouTube, I'm afraid. Might have to put that on the Patreon, where we followed him to the toilet, because it is over 18s only. So how are we doing? So back to where we were. You were at Oldham College.
Yeah, Oldham College. Basically, I studied engineering, electrical engineering, with an audio sort of offshoot. Failed it.
Yeah. Did you like it?
No, I blew up an oscilloscope once. I absolutely hated it.
Yeah.
It was supposed to teach you how to produce music, but what it was teaching you about how to, repair calculators, and I picked the wrong thing. I thought, you know what? And what happened? Something interesting happened.
Yeah.
In that time, it was the start of Kiss 102.
Right.
Right. So Kiss FM in London. Been there for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
They get a license in Manchester, right? And Kiss 102 starts. And I just think I'm listening to dance music being played on the radio.
Yeah.
And I think, fuck, that's where I need to be. So I come off that course and I study media.
Yeah.
And I end up winning the John Platt Prize for Excellence. In fact, can we start again? No. Well, I end up basically coming top of my year.
Right.
In fact, don't start again. I end up coming top of my year, getting a scholarship to university, and
that's fantastic.
I end up at Warrington, which Warrington's Warrington, and Warrington ends up becoming a big part of my life later on.
Yeah.
And go and do my degree and get my degree there, and part of my degree, I end up getting work experience at what was then Galaxy, like Kiss 102 had become Galaxy 102.
Yeah.
And it kind of started from there, really. I started on the Adam Cole Breakfast Show, where the guy called Simon Ritchie, who I mentioned earlier, who's probably the greatest radio producer in the whole country, who mentored me for a long, long time, and literally opened doors up so much that led me to a point where anybody that I meet, I just want to open their doors up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Any doors up that I can meet for absolutely anybody.
Fantastic, mate. Galaxy had a few known faces within the scene, didn't it? Go through its doors at one point, really.
Known faces means something different around Manchester, but we had quite a lot. But I mean, in all honesty, I actually saw dance music become commercialised for the better.
Yeah.
Because we wouldn't have actually got away with. I mean, I know it's really weird. People talk about the underground. People talk about the bastardisation of dance music, but it's not actually. Somebody has to market that.
Yeah.
Somebody has to bring it that wider appeal. Somebody has to actually do that. Yeah. Otherwise, we're pissing in the wind.
Yeah.
And I saw dance music come from where it was in '94 when Kiss was there.
Yeah.
So when I joined the station in '99, being commercially sort of acceptable, and like, we've got a lot to thank for that to actually steer it into that way. Otherwise, we'd still be listening to Steps in clubs. We'd still be listening to fucking James Blunt, and we'd still be listening to bloody, you know.
So the machine got behind it and made it bigger, but the machine aided it in the long run. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, understandable, I suppose. Without the machine, I doubt that I would have bought all them compilation albums from Morrison's. Do you know what I mean? Like,
interestingly, the funny thing is, while I was at Galaxy, I learned how to use a thing called Sadie.
Right.
Which
never heard of it.
Sadie is the first digital mixing platform ever.
Right.
And it was the first time anybody, like Sadie operators were like gold dust.
Right.
And funnily enough, like when you walked into Morrison's, I reckon I could look in your CD collection and I would have actually ghost mixed.
Oh, interesting.
Quite a high percentage of those, and I made a living out of doing that for a long time until Tractor and Virtual DJ came out, and it was a lot easier. And I worked out a mathematical formula to actually do that when I was younger, which is to divide 60 by the BPM, times it by 64, and that will give you the ratio of how to set every single track to the same speed.
You've lost me. But, you know.
Well, you know.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But I'm sure people will actually be able to work that out anyway. But that's how I actually did it, and I did it for a long, long time. And at one point, the amount of DJs, to be honest with you, DJs used to come to my house, and I would ghost mix their CDs, and I would do them accurately. There's very few of my own mixes out there, to be fair.
Yeah.
And just to be absolutely honest with people watching this, that I've not done digitally. Because I don't see the point. You know what I mean? When I knock out a mix, I'd rather you had it flawless.
Yeah.
And it'd be completely different to when I go out live and I'm an absolute fucking lunatic.
Yeah.
And jumping around like I've got something wrong with me.
Yeah.
And actually entertaining people, so I don't see the point. You know what I mean? But most of my mixes are actually digitally created.
That's interesting.
And why not? You know what I mean? Because you want something flawless. You don't want... you know, and I'm actually more likely to actually say this is a live mix, than anything else. And why not?
Fantastic. I wasn't aware of that, by the way.
Yes. I mean, I reckon I could go through. I could go through your CD collection, and you'd be quite amazed. And I work with quite a lot of very well-known companies and very well-known DJs.
Excellent. That's impressive.
I'm not allowed to tell people.
Mm-hmm.
That is like that was in the contract that literally always stays.
No worries, mate. That's no worries. So we'll sort of like move on to your sort of production and stuff like that. Like, this is what I want to pick your brains about. Yeah. Where does the producer come into it?
I've always been able to sort of like make music and stuff like that. And like the last sort of thing I'd made was a track by Dahlia called "Got to Know." And we were looking at major record deals on this track in about '97. And what happened is Jason Nevin, in fact, let's go rewind a bit back from that. What happened is I sampled Run DMC on this track, and I'm about to get a record deal. And then Jason Nevins goes and does It's Like That, and Run DMC all of a sudden aren't going to clear that fucking sample. And it's all it is like a sample that goes, "God damn, that DJ made my day," from Peter Piper.
Yeah.
And after that, I just couldn't be bothered. And then I started making experimental, insane.
So where did you produce that at? Sorry, if you don't mind me asking.
Actually, I'm sorry. Do you know what? Actually, coming back, I'm sort of losing my chronology a little bit. I made that probably in '96.
Yeah.
And we hovered around on a record deal for it for a long time. In the meantime, I started listening to a lot of. I started making a lot of really experimental stuff.
Yeah.
And I started a band called Narcotic Funk Project.
Yeah.
And we did a track called Interplanetary Breaks, or I did, which is kind of like a techno jazz kind of thing. I started listening to a lot of Blue Note and that kind of thing. So I've done Interplanetary Breaks as Narcotic Foot projects. I had this great analog studio, and I had a Boss DR660 drum machine. I had an Akai S20 and an SL1 sampler. I had a great mixing desk. I had, it was all running through this brilliant analog system.
Yeah.
And I'd done Dahlia, Got to Know, which obviously we had the Run DMC issue and we couldn't release the bloody thing.
Yeah.
Which was down to Jason Nevins and all that kind of thing. But like I said, we couldn't release that. And the sample was like the goddamn that DJ made my day.
Yep.
And I started like listening. I went to university. I started listening to a lot of really mad music and listening to loads of jazz and loads of like breaks. And it was kind of like the big beat era. It was kind of like the Fatboy Slim kind of era. And I started recording this Narcotic Funk project, and I split with my girlfriend. And my head just completely went in 97, 98. And I started doing, I was working for a magazine at the time, a very controversial magazine.
Yeah.
And I literally, like, my head just completely gone. I started doing loads of things that I shouldn't really have done.
Yeah.
And I started making really mental records, and I knocked out 3 vinyl tracks. One of them was Interplanetary Breaks, Narcotic Foot projects, and then I did. This is where shit went really crazy. I did Sesame Street Preachers.
Right. Okay.
Bert and Ernie's Jazzy Journey.
Yeah.
Which is a great record. If you take away the actual bloody Sesame Street sample.
Yeah.
And then I did Dirty Look as the Narcotic Funk project, which is cited in certain circles as the first ever dubstep record.
Right.
And I did nothing after that.
Right.
I had no interest. And then one day I started working, I'm there working at Galaxy, and my mate Marvin, the Wall, DJ Marvelous, he's doing a night called Love Is the Message. It's a UK garage thing, and UK garage is blowing up.
Yeah.
And I do a bootleg, a Nearer My Desire, and Little Man by Sia, the Wookiee remix, like the instrumental against that, right? And he starts playing it starts blowing up.
Yeah.
And it's like, fucking hell, this is massive on the UK, and they're about to press it, and nobody will press it. So I just think, do you know what? I'm going to start bootlegging. I'm just going to start bootlegging everything. I'm going to start mashing up absolutely everything. Yeah. And that's what I was doing. And we started, we got to a point where Galaxy were doing bootleg of the week. This guy comes over from France called Sam Sniber, who ran probably one of the biggest French radio stations. Sorry, like a French radio station that was the #1 in the world. Yeah. And Sam gets right behind me, says, "Yeah, we do bootleg of the week." Yeah. And I get involved in it, and literally every single week I do a bootleg for Galaxy. Every single week, and then I meet this guy called Cy Edwards. Yeah. Who's also into my sort of thing. Yeah. And we formed Trick Babies as a bootleg act. Right, we do it. And we just build this from absolutely nothing. Next thing I know, MTV Europe are coming in. And we've got a new show called MTV MASH. You doing it?
Oh, excellent.
Shit. And we do a few. We did Montel Jordan versus Room 5. We did Elton John, Are You Ready for Love? With Sunshine Anderson. They're like, it's brilliant. Next thing we know, All Around the World Records. We've heard you've done this is where I've really got to choose my words here. Yeah. We've heard about a certain mashup that you do live. Would you be interested in recreating that with us? Yeah. And that's where I join LMC. Yeah.
So if you don't know, you can just work it out for yourself, because we can't talk about it.
So I've got to be very, very careful the way I do that. But we've done it. Although, to be fair, the replay version, I'm very proud of what we actually did for that label. It's brilliant. We didn't have the greatest time at AATW, but I mean, to be fair, I love AATW. I think they are the absolute anarchists of the system. They literally smite when Soho was controlling the whole of the record industry.
They were
literally like, fuck you, fucking Soho, fuck you, London, and like
it's true though. Like so much stuff that they put out.
Right, honestly, right. I mean, Ian Redmond from Ultrabeat rang me earlier, right, and literally, right, Ultrabeat. I mean, bear in mind, like Ultrabeat, Mike DeScala is now Camel Fat.
Yeah.
Right, with Dave Whelan.
Yeah.
And you've got Mike and Ian and Chris there. Right, Ultrabeat were number one for 3 weeks before Radio 1 had actually playlisted Pretty Green Eyes.
Little side thing I want to put on there. Don't know if you noticed though, this week they do a little thing called it's like a little feature they do every morning about 6:30 in the morning. And 3 times this week, the feature that they've asked for is Ultrabeat Pretty Green Eyes. And you know, they still don't play their version of it, and it pisses me off. It absolutely pisses me off.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, right, when Pretty Green Eyes, I remember, like, Susie Tompkins, who was a record plugger, right, sends me Pretty Green Eyes there. I'm like, I'm playing it in Bedroom, in the club that I played at the time, Bedroom. I played it for the first time, and literally the whole fucking room is like...
Loving it.
Like that. And, you know what I mean, that is... I've got so much anger towards the South, and... Not the South, but...
Yeah.
To, like, the record industry that actually held back the North of England.
Yeah.
But I've got so much love to you know, Chris Nuttall and Matt Cadman for what they did with All Around the World, because literally they basically took a load of people from the North of England and just made everything work. Yeah. And then, you know, it didn't matter who you were.
Made them household names as well, like absolutely.
And it was like you go into the offices, and like I don't know whether they still work in there or even do what they do.
Yeah.
And like you go up to the stairs. It was a record shop called Reedy's.
Yeah, Reedy's. Yeah.
And you go up through Reedy's. You go up the stairs, and on the left hand side you'd have Kenny Hayes in his studio.
Yeah.
And then you'd have Lee Monteverdi in his. Yeah. And then you'd go into the office, and then you'd see Joe. And then you'd see, I can't remember, Fiona. You'd see Joe and Fiona coming in, and you'd have a couch there. The whole place would stink of fags, because literally, like, they literally smoked like chain smoke in that office. And you literally, you play them, and they'd either just rip you to pieces or sign it. And like, when I played Little Bird in the office, like, I just never forget, like, Chris Nuttall saying, "That's a hit."
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it wasn't. But you know, that's life.
Can I ask you, when you got signed to All Around the World, did life change much for you?
No. The only thing I did, I never forget. Like, I celebrated signing to All Around the World by taking a girl that I just started going out with called Becca to McDonald's.
Excellent.
I've got £1,000 check in my hand for like an advance, because we had to split it between a few of us.
Yeah.
But I'm like, fucking hell. Like, literally, we took her to McDonald's. That's 2004.
Fantastic.
Honestly, like, nothing. I mean, Jesus Christ. At one point, I was in an Italian fashion magazine. I was paid a lot of money to actually do it.
That's phenomenal, by the
way. People in Green magazine, and I got £2,000 there. I'm like, I'm literally like, all I've ever done is like, I'm not into, you know, that kind of thing. I'm literally, you know, I'm so down to it. You know, the only place that I tend to go to be honest, for any kind of like treat like that is like Samusian in Sowerby Bridge. Yeah. Plug, ding, 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 number 3, ding.
I'm trying
to get a discount at Samusian. Sorry. Anyway, sorry, go on.
What I want to do now is I just want to move on to the questions, if that's okay.
Yep.
Because, and if you're fine with this, we're going to do Shaun Part 2, Part 3 and Part 4, because there is so much to talk about.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
If that's all right with you, because...
It's fine, mate.
You can tell you're having fun doing this.
I practice these in the mirror.
But I just want to move on to part 2 of the podcast, where you ask questions. If you've got any questions for the podcast, just remember, send them into Instagram at itstimetoriffresh, or on Facebook, or drop it in our Facebook group as well. basically, I don't know if you watched the episode. Have you watched any episodes before? Or,
No.
Right. So basically,
I'm a bad friend.
it's hard to keep up with as well because it comes out every week, so it's one of them. But basically, we get people writing, and they can ask anything at all, like literally anything. We've had some obscure shit, right? And they don't know who the guest is coming on. That's all part of the magic. So it's always a very universal question-ish. So just answer as open and honest as you can. Is that all right?
I always will do.
Right. This one is: growing up, would young Brad love the music that you're putting out today? So we'll turn that round to you. Growing up, would young Shaun love what you're doing today? So the boy
that's exactly why I do what I do.
So what is there anything in particular that you look back at now and you think, as a kid, you'd have thrived on it?
I would love to make some 80s pop music.
Right. What, like the synthy stuff?
Yeah, I'd love to make some kind of like really commercial 80s pop music. You know, like Pre-Prab Sprout, Level 42, that kind of thing.
Right.
I'd love to do that kind of thing.
So as a kid, you'd like to have done that? But what I'm saying is, see the tunes that you've released now. Say the boy raver stuff.
Yeah.
We'll use that as an example. Would young Shaun have heard that in the bath and be like, you know what, he's good, him?
Yeah. No, absolutely. You know what I mean? That would have turned me on to doing that. You know, I mean, bear in mind, it's quite a simple question to answer.
Yeah.
Because I turned my back on actually making EDM and that kind of thing. I had a very good offer to go and carry on making EDM and that kind of thing, and could have been set up for life. Yeah. I actually turned my back on that and ended up, you know, actually making the Boy Raver project. Yeah. Because it was what I wanted to do, and like growing up, so it's kind of like it's already answered, really.
Well, fantastic, mate. Is the best part? The reason. Oh, by the way, that's from Nick. The reason I find it an interesting question is because that if you don't enjoy the music that you make yourself, then why are you doing it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a passion. It's not.
The last time I made a record for money. In fact, I'd never made a record for money.
Yeah,
even you get what you give. Yeah. LMC, New Radicals. Even I didn't do that because it's my all-time favourite record. Yeah. So I've housed up my all-time favourite fucking record. Yeah. I've not done that for money. You know what I mean? I've done that.
It's an easy question when you think about it, but I appreciate the question.
Thank you, Nick. It's brilliant good, question.
What is your signature dinner you'd make if you were hosting at your house? Something to really impress the guests, and that's from Aidan Rogers. Aidan R. Sorry.
12 vegetable Irish stew.
12 vegetable Irish stew. Is there any reason why? Is that your speciality?
That's there. Because, like I said, it just takes me an hour and a half to make it. But as well, when I literally like Irish stew is kind of like my thing anyway. But just as many vegetables, and to be honest with you, I can't get past 12 vegetables in a stew. So if I could get some more, I keep building it up. But like I said, I'm a very proud Irishman. And that's, you know, I mean, Irish stew is my signature.
Excellent. I think, realistically, mine would be, so last week week before, I had a crack at making jambalaya.
Oh, right, okay.
Right. I never ever made it before.
Did you have big fun on the gun?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I struggled making it. Not struggled, but like, because you never make it. So when you cook, do you cook to recipe, or are you just a guesstimator?
No, I cook. What I tend to do is I cook when I'm pissed. Right. So literally, what I'll do is I'll go to. At the moment, I'll go to Halifax Market. Right. Indoor market. Are you ready for plug number 4? What I'll do is I'll go to Yo DJ Records in Halifax, the stall there in the indoor market. Ding. But honestly, I'm into like supporting farmers and as much as I possibly can. Excellent. And what I'll do is I'll try to put as many vegetables into a stew as I possibly can. As far as like making it authentic Irish, I'd go and get a lamb neck. Yeah. And I'll buy that from a butcher's.
So are you just throwing these in, or are you?
Yeah, basically like organic, but it's done over time.
Fantastic.
You know what I mean? And you know, you live, you learn. But Irish stew, absolutely. The only other thing that I do is a spice bag. I'm really good at a spice bag at the moment.
Yeah.
So.
Excellent. I think my signature dish used to be like some sort of pasta carbonara, because it was nice and easy, and it's really, really simple not to fuck up. Like, do you know what I mean?
Well I love cooking Italian, but the thing about Italian as well is you've got to keep it simple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you overcomplicate Italian cooking, it's just
It turns to shit. Yeah.
Honestly, you tasted a piece of shit, really. You know what I mean? It's terrible.
So yeah, my jambalaya went down very well with my missus.
Yeah.
She was like, "Do you know something? In all the years we've been together, that's probably the best / only good meal you've ever made." So I was like, yes. So we had it again the week after, trying to impress her again, and she wasn't having any of it. It's like, you have to leave a bigger gap in time before we come back and revisit this. Next question is, where is one venue that is still running that you haven't played at but would love to? And that's from our regular contributor, Andy Matz.
Oh, fucking hell. There isn't one. I always wanted to play at Venus in Manchester, and it never happened. And we came so close to me playing at Venus. But right now, thinking about it, God, I don't think there is. I'm trying to think. The only place I can think of is Dingwalls, Camden,
Right.
which is a jazz club. I'd love to actually play a jazz set at Dingwalls.
Right.
Fucking hell, because I played everywhere that I wanted to play.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I'd love to play. I'd love to actually. I'd say something I'd love to do is I'd love to go and play for Sopranos, right? But to actually put together, actually pre-plan it and then spend a lot of time on it, get up a map, and actually do like an hour's worth of original stuff that I've made.
Right.
Remixes, reworks, and maybe make some new hard dance.
Right. You should. You need to pull.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
But even then, it's not like a bucket list.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So no offence to Matt Cheese, he was a fantastic promoter.
Yeah.
But bloody hell, it's the only thing I can think of really.
Yeah.
There's nowhere.
Interesting,
isn't it? I can't think of anywhere.
Being there, got that.
I'd love to go to New York. I'm sure there's plenty of places in New York that I'd love to play.
Yeah.
But Ciela in the meatpacking district, I'd love to play there.
Yeah.
Love to play. I don't know. That's a mad question to ask.
It is.
But
he's always coming forward, Andy, with the questions. Thank you very much, mate. If I could play somewhere, do you know it's a hard one, isn't it? Like, it's because I'd love to do, and you've probably done it. I've always wanted to do Bowler's main stage.
Right now, I've done that, and I've done that a lot. I've done that a few times, but believe it or not, the only time I actually played it as an old school DJ was at Stu Allen's tribute. And obviously, like my mate Andy owns it.
Yeah.
Bowler. I mean, to be honest with you, get into but it's weird because I've actually played at Bowler's on the main stage, and I've actually played. Bear in mind, like Bowler's does a lot of conventions, and I played to like cosplayers on the main stage. And I've done an 80s thing on the main stage.
You did a curry evening as well, didn't you?
I've done all sorts of things.
We talked about that on the last one. Can you remember the curry?
I'm game for anything.
Yeah.
The thing with me, I just, do you know what? I look at a gig and I think, do you know what? Is it a laugh? Fuck it, let's do it.
Absolutely.
And that's, I honestly, I mean, again, like I took on a gig at Hebden Bridge, a 50th, purely because it's in a barnyard.
Fantastic. I love obscure stuff like that, though. I
mean, by the way, as well, like I don't know if you've seen Happy Valley.
Yeah.
That's where I live now.
Right.
I actually live in Happy Valley. I live in Solby Bridge, which is, you know what I mean, it's weird now. You know what I mean? We run this club now, which is technically in Rishworth, Ripponden. It's on the cusp of two. It's called like Northern Rave Scene. We run it. It's called Workshop, but. You know what I mean? Things that excite me, and the reason I got involved in Workshop is because I'm like, I've turned up to a place
And it's blowing your mind.
I'm like, this holds 50 people. And they're all raving like fucking, you won't even believe.
Right, I don't want to get into it. I want to hold this for the next podcast, if that's okay. Sorry, I've left you on a cliffhanger.
Is that a cliffhanger? Is that
Oh, I think so. Because what we talked about on the phone, what we talked about on the phone, it was just like, it's quite interesting, and I think a lot of people will be interested in it. But it's a whole hour in itself as well.
Yeah.
So we'll sort of tie off today.
Hey, Bradley, you can interview me anytime you want.
No worries, mate. I enjoy your company, if that's anything.
No, you're very welcome, mate. I enjoy talking, and showing off, and black. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm like.
So we've got one last question that I ask every guest who comes on. You're about to get the electric chair for something you've done in the past.
That's the best question ever.
No,
you've not even done fucking questions.
I know.
That's
no, but it's just because you're on your way out and that. Do you know what I mean?
What have I done?
What have you done? Right, you have
Right.
so many things you could have done.
I don't know.
You're a decent guy, mate. You've getting it for wrong incrimination. That's what it is.
Honestly, mate, one of my favourite all-time films. It's a really dodgy film by Clint Eastwood, and it's called. Can't remember what it's called now. But it's basically like he ends up like Clint Eastwood. In fact, let's not even go there. Just carry on with the question. But it's about the electric chair anyway. It's a really dodgy film. But go on.
Go on. You're about to get the electric chair, right? And they ask you, you've got one more meal. You can have a starter, main, dessert, and a beverage. What are you having?
Right, prawns pill. That's my starter.
Right.
Ribeye steak.
Everyone says steak, mate.
With poor man's potatoes.
Right.
Patatas bravas. Dessert.
Are you a big foodie?
Yeah, fairly. But dead simple.
Yeah.
Dessert though.
As with the light.
Dessert. Ooh. A massive packet of toffee.
They're nice, them.
Yeah.
Did you see the white ones that came out last Christmas?
Yeah.
They're really
toffee mixed with Viennetta.
Lovely.
Right, that'd do me nicely.
Fantastic.
That is my last
and what
meal.
beverage?
I would go for a pint of vodka.
You're never going to believe this. The last podcast that I did today, I've done 2 recordings today, and they said the exact same thing. Going out with a pint of vodka. Impressive. Right, I just want to say thank you for coming on, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Mate, I've really enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
And just, by the way, thank you for people that have asked those questions as well. And,
yeah, no problem.
You know what I mean? And good luck for Riffresh. And you know, it's fantastic what you're doing, mate. And I'm glad I've remixed for you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad. Like, I was listening to the Got to Tell You thing where I did that dodgy sandstorm.
No, it's not dodgy. It's fantastic.
Sorry, where I didn't legally for legal reasons do that dodgy sandstorm.
It was fantastic, mate.
But
I've played it out a few times, and as I said, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Mate,
excellent.
Take care.
If you've enjoyed it, share it with your mates. The more you share it, we've get this organic engagement where you put it in your WhatsApp group and go, you know what, this is actually quite good, this, and then you create a fan. Then I'm forever grateful. Where can people find you?
Depends who's asking.
Right.
Generally, just Shaun Lever on Facebook. And to be honest with you, like the best way to ever interact with me is on Facebook. Yeah. Because it's the only sort of social media I tend to do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, just look around Rippenden,
in
West Yorkshire, and I'm knocking about usually. Or Northern Monkey on a Friday and Saturday night when I'm DJing. Plug number 5. Ding.
Yeah, we don't mind that. We don't mind that.
Yeah. So Northern Monkey, by the way, is anyway, that's generally where I am. So,
right, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'll see you later.